All right, so we got to talk about this one here. So some recent changes to Cyberpunk has now seen some unforeseen fallout. We have to talk about how the critical changes made to the game by CD Projekt Red are finally being seen and how they're affecting the community right now. There's also still something missing from that free DLC rotation that desperately needs to be added in, and it seems like a portion of the community absolutely agrees. And also, we've got some crazy Cyberpunk sales numbers on PlayStation 5. We got to talk about that as well. What does it mean for Cyberpunk? But we're going to start out here. First of all, right here, it says, anybody else miffed about the forced restart? And of course, if you do remember, with the most recent update for Cyberpunk, you had to go in and basically respec your character because they reorganized everything with the skill trees and all sorts of stuff was redone for Cyberpunk. But it seems like there's a part of the community that did not like this change because they had to go through 90 abilities and perks and reset them all and establish their character once again. But let's see what he had to say here. It says, I just barely came back to the game only to discover that the character I knew and loved suddenly had to be fully rebuilt because in the upgrade, they decided to rework all the skill trees. I'm not even running a superpower quick hack build, but now I have to rebuild all the perks I specifically picked for my character with 100 plus hours of gameplay. I get rebuilding a skill tree in an MMO when it's OP, but in a single player RPG, you should really stick with what you release. Do you guys agree with this or not? Even if it's completely unbalanced, do you think developers should be like, hey, we're going to leave it as is. We're not going to mess around with people's characters, or at least have a decision where you can make on the menu screen where you can opt into this change or not. That should be something I think that perhaps they should offer. But it seems like, again, a portion of the community is a bit miffed about this one. Let me know what side of the fence you're on, if you support such changes, or if you think they should leave things untouched when it comes to your character. Now, we have this from a lonely platypus who says this: I've literally opened the game 3 times only to be overwhelmed by the fact that I have to rebuild my character from the start just to play the game. Is ridiculous, and I'm playing on PlayStation, so there's no way to roll back to a previous patch. And then we have this one right here from NBC Mega who says the following: but the game was entirely broken. My first character had 50% crit chance with well over 100% bonus crit damage, over 10,000k armor with certain buffs active, nearly 1,000 hit points, over 1,000 with Militech Berserk active, monstrous health regen, and the ability to one-punch trash mobs. And I think that, yeah, this sort of thing is what CD Projekt Red was trying to address. But again, we have a response from a lonely platypus, the original poster here, who says it's a single-player game. Anybody could play a busted build if they wanted to. If someone is playing on PC, they can straight up just cheat one out of nowhere. And honestly, I don't think that's what CD Projekt wants. I think they want it to be played a certain way. But again, some people were very, very happy with their OP builds. So yeah, let me know if you guys were also frustrated with that update. I am extremely curious, but we're starting to see some of the consequences to making such a drastic change to the perk system and things like that. All right, so we're going to talk about this one right here. It says, interesting sales numbers for Cyberpunk on PlayStation 5. This one comes from Merrick B, who says this: so I've been playing a lot of Horizon Forbidden West recently, occasionally diving back into Cyberpunk on my newly acquired PlayStation 5. Ooh, fancy. And it occurred to me to see how Horizon Forbidden West sales were doing. As you may know, it's been steamrolled a lot by Elden Ring. Oh my god, yes, a lot of games happening. As a result, I found the PlayStation blog and its top PS5 sales for April 2022. Horizon Forbidden West has definitely been steamrolled. At number 1 on both the US and EU charts for April is Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, sitting at number 3 on US Canada. Number 2 on EU is Elden Ring. Horizon Forbidden West, number 12 in the US and 14 in Europe. But what's this I see? Cyberpunk, number 7 in US and number 3 in the EU, doing better than Horizon Forbidden West. Interesting. Now, Cyberpunk doesn't feature on the PS4 charts at all. Of course it doesn't. So I have a couple of theories about this one. It's a bounce partly because of the release of next-gen versions. That could be correct, especially now that most people aren't buying Elden Ring at the same time. Absolutely, that's one of the biggest factors in my opinion. We're seeing those numbers dying off for Elden Ring right now. Doesn't mean the game is bad. It's just a single-player game. People are kind of moving on. It may be support in the EU for CD Projekt Red stand against invasion, so that's another theory right there. But also there have been major sales for Cyberpunk 2077. It's great to see so many newcomers hopping on to Cyberpunk more recently and really enjoying the game. But yeah, we'll see what happens as we keep going. We should be getting update 1.6. I'm hoping that it's a big one, as big as update 1.5, if not bigger, and that should once again reinvigorate people into Cyberpunk, especially newcomers, I would think. But yeah, let's keep going here, shall we? So we have this one right here. It says, I know the expansion is in 2023, but my mind is racing with ways they could use this skyline. I really hope they focus the map expansion as a layer above the streets. Dude, you couldn't have said it better. This comes from Mag Vadis. He goes on to say this, and I totally agree with practically everything he says. He says, I recently got the flight mod, and it's gotten my mind racing with ideas for how they could develop the skyline of the city in the future, if that's their goal. I mean, they could easily, build up and add entirely new locations, neighborhoods, or buildings. But honestly, they've got so much already here that sets up a framework for what could be added. AB only corpo hideouts, high up slums accessible by industrial elevators, interlinked by deadly walkways, falling apart due to lack of investment and only maintained by the poor residents. He's really thought that out. That actually sounds pretty cool for a certain district in the game. Skyports run by DPR and so much more. Got to remember that I did play a game called The Ascent, and they had a fascinating storyline tied into going up through the city. And the higher you got up there, the richer it got, the cleaner it got. It would be cool to see something similar for Night City, where an expansion was really focused on that higher level of the city, and we got to see how a lot of the wealthy lived and things like that. They could really do something very interesting with that. Perhaps even have the DLC focused on building up and also down at the same time with the slums and in the sewers and things like that, to really show the difference between poverty and wealth in Night City. I think that could be a really cool story arc. Furthermore, we have this, and having things like the Kobaki reoccur deeper in the game, but only heightened by this setting, literally in the essence of it being raised higher above the city, would only literalize your progression through the story, as late game content actually tends to show up higher in the map. It's amazing how much potential the map has for expansion, and it's cool they have put themselves in a position to be able to add so much. I just hope they spend less time building out and more time building up, because this is the only major AAA franchise that can make spaces like this for us to play in and it feel normal. Verticality is the strongest asset, and I hope they use it. It's already wild how dense some areas of the city are. Imagine that plus an entire new expansion and more. I totally agree with you on this, so hopefully they listen. And again, mega buildings, I want to see those fully fleshed out. That'd be really cool. Now, also, they are releasing some new, I guess you would say merchandise. It isn't merchandise. It's this right here, Hot Wheel. Johnny's Porsche coming soon from Hot Wheels and their premium entertainment line. Check it out right here. So many people are excited about this one. Look at that. I would love to get this, but someone did note that scalpers are trying to obtain every single one of these Porsche and Johnny Silverhand Hot Wheels. But yeah, that is so cool to see, honestly, that Cyberpunk is existing outside of the video game. And I want to see more of that. In fact, we will be seeing more of that with the Netflix Netrunners TV series, so I can't wait for that one. Now, there's some secrets discovered in Night City as well. If you missed this, check this out. This one comes from Unhappy Spinach, who says, does anyone know what this is supposed to be or refers to? And of course, we have these buttons that were added to the game. And it says, press me after dark. And then, of course, we have song lyrics here if you push the button, and also flickers the lights on and off throughout the city. And basically, the song lyrics are about light versus dark, I guess you would say. But it does fascinate me. If anyone has any further theories as to what this could mean, please post a comment down below. I'm extremely curious. Now, we got to talk about this one, of course. I think there needs to be something very important added into the free DLC rotation. We would expect to see, naturally, weapons and perhaps new outfits added to the game for free, maybe even a car or two. But What about motorcycles? It says motorcycles are the only thing worth driving in Cyberpunk. Let me know if you agree with that one. Seems like an extreme statement to me. It says Cyberpunk offers a player a ton of cars, but few motorcycles, which is a disappointment when motorcycles are far better vehicle. Oh, really? I personally love the motorcycles in this game, but I also love the cars as well. But yes, I totally agree. We need more motorcycles. There's only a few types and variations in the game right now, and they could really flesh this out big time. Maybe even have like a motorcycle DLC like we saw with, I don't know, GTA 4, like Lost in the Dam stuff. They really don't even touch base on biker crews and gangs and things like that. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see for sure. All right, so this was also another noteworthy thread right here. Perhaps this should be updated in the game. Let me know if you guys agree. It says, how I thought getting a new cyberware in the game would look like. And of course, it's not currently like this at all in the game. It's a simple menu addition or something like that. But a lot of you wanted to see an animation behind that. Then again, I think some of you might get tired of seeing the same animation play over and over again, and you might just skip it. So perhaps that's their thinking into why they didn't add that. But overall, I think it would have been a cool addition to see for sure. All right, so we got to talk about this one right here. Remember, leave your top comments down below. This was my most recent video. It says, you won't believe what Cyberpunk devs are working on. The Elder Scrolls 6 contender. Could it be possible? So these are former Cyberpunk 2077 developers, and they're now at Techland. Of course, the amazing talent that brought us Dying Light 2, and they're all working on a fantasy AAA next-gen RPG that is also going to be open world. It should be very, very big. I'm telling you what, there's amazing talent going into this project, and the question is, could it be a contender in time to Elder Scrolls 6? Is that even possible that there could be a game like that out there? I think that's a bit of a stretch, of course, but let's keep going. You just never know. Now, we have this one right here. Yeah, by the way, check out Extra Wallets. I did a little sponsorship for them. Amazing wallets. I'm just going to say that. Then we have this one, Sendrian Smorgasbord. Smorgasbord. He says, speaking of animating for third-person perspectives, as CD Projekt Red intends to implement a third-person camera for 2077, they seriously need to work on the animations. Watching the shadow is very telling of just how bad the animations are for character models are. Stiff as a board, limbs twisting and stretching in alien-like ways, floating across the ground. I'm strongly hoping and wishing for a true third-person camera in 2077, but they have a lot of work ahead of if that's their plan. Yeah, you know, there's indication that they're hiring for third-person camera work, but that could be for the next Witcher game. They now have that listed for Witcher and Cyberpunk franchise. That could also be for Cyberpunk 2. I don't know. I'm just going to say don't hold your breath with that one, but I really, really do hope that it actually pans out to be where there is a third-person perspective. Next up, we have Campson, who says, I'm actually enjoying Cyberpunk and all its lore. Hopefully, we can get bigger and better sequels from the futuristic and sinister universe of the future. As for these other possibly upcoming games, I'm excited to see what these fantasy games are going to be about. Hope they can bring something new to the table. That's going to be a big thing. And one thing that the Dying Light 2 team has that is kind of new and fresh to a fantasy RPG game is they have this amazing ability to create traversal systems and parkour. So maybe they will slide that into what they're working on with this new fantasy RPG. You never know, because they are really, really good at movement and things like that. So that could make it stand out from other games for sure. All right, then we have this comment right here from Chris1306, who says, the Halo killer, now Elder Scrolls killer. How many times have we heard the insert here killer because used, and it never happens? Make a good game first and let the people decide rather than some or other press release. I agree 100% on that one for sure. And anything to really go head to head with Elder Scrolls or to kill it, that is, of course, a major stretch there. But anyway, there it is, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more Cyberpunk and open world gaming goodness, and I will see you all next time. Take care.